She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
As you may heard, I filed a few lawsuits, and I'm in the court now because they accuse me of doing stuff that I never did in my life.
If you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sonny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say.
Sunny Hostin, who I think is truly the woman on television and a genuine racist and not that bright, despite her law degree and everything else.
Grab your popcorn, folks, because this is about to get wild. Sunny Hostin is now facing a $1 million lawsuit, and it's from none other than Melania Trump. Yep, you heard that right. Looks like The View's bold, no-holds-barred comments may have finally crossed the line. And trust me, this isn't just a hit for Sunny, it's a major shakeup for the entire crew. Oh, and you won't believe this, but Joe Rogan's jumping into the drama with his own spicy take.
It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half-baked and you went on stage with it and it's nothing
Just
there.
go for it.
Now, if you're one of those people who may have missed where it all started, let me break it down for you real quick, because the tea is too hot to sip slowly. Melania Trump is coming in strong with a $100 million lawsuit, and the target? The outspoken hosts of The View. During a live broadcast, the ladies went all in on Melania during a fiery segment about her time in the White House. It wasn't your typical critique. Oh no, they went straight for the jugular. One host claimed Melania wasn't exactly thrilled about her role as First Lady, and things escalated faster than a TikTok trend. Then came the real kicker. Someone outright suggested she wasn't happy in her marriage to Donald Trump. Yikes.
I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore. She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
As you can see, the critique extended to her personal life, her White House redesigns, mocked, her Christmas traditions. They portray her as a reluctant First Lady, overwhelmed and weighed down by the role, with accusations piling on so thick there wasn't a sliver of nuance. It was relentless, leaving Melania to feel like they'd taken direct aim at her character. And let's just say, Melania isn't one to sit quietly. She's hitting back hard with a $100 million defamation lawsuit. That's not chump change, folks. She's arguing that the statements weren't just unfounded, but outright damaging to her reputation. To Melania, this isn't about bruised pride or being thin-skinned. It's about standing up against what she believes are calculated and harmful attacks on her dignity. Now, just when you thought the tea couldn't get any hotter, enter Joe Rogan, the podcast king and no-holds-barred media critic. Rogan didn't waste a second calling out The View, labeling their behavior as blatant hypocrisy. He reminded everyone of those good old days when Donald and Melania were welcomed onto the show with open arms, applause, and smiles. Yes, from the same hosts, now vilifying them. Rogan wasn't buying the sudden 180-degree turn and slammed the show for what he called a politically motivated narrative shift. But wait, there's more. Rogan didn't hold back his punches, accusing The View of chasing sensationalism rather than meaningful dialogue. He even roasted the hosts, joking, "If you average out the IQ of The View's hosts, you might still struggle to hit triple digits." Ouch! Fans of Rogan ate it up, turning his comment into a rallying cry against what they see as the show's over-the-top antics. Now, this isn't the first time Sunny Hostin has stirred the pot with her comments. In fact, she's no stranger to controversy. Remember the time she offended millions by calling out uneducated white women for their voting patterns? She pointed to the statistic that 52% of them supported Trump, and as you can imagine, it didn't set well with a lot of people. But Sunny didn't stop there. She doubled down, praising black women for their pivotal role in elections, saying, "Black women tried to save this country again last night," while hailing Kamala Harris' campaign as flawless.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him, and you have...
And if you thought she was done, think again. Sunny went on to critique Latino men for voting in higher numbers for Trump, calling it a result that made everything even harder to process. Her remarks, bold as they were, lit up the internet like a Christmas tree. Except this wasn't a holiday celebration. The online reaction was split right down the middle. Supporters cheered her for saying what they believed needed to be said, while critics came for her with accusations of divisiveness, with some even labeling her remarks as racist. Trump supporters in particular felt targeted, arguing that Sunny had unfairly painted them in a negative light. But the drama didn't end there. When The View aired its post-election episode, the tone was unmistakably somber. The co-hosts, Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar included, arrived dressed in all black, as if they were mourning the election results. Whoopi, true to her signature style, refused to even say Trump's name, while Joy didn't hold back, bluntly stating she vehemently disagreed with the outcome. That day, the show felt less like a panel discussion and more like a political eulogy, complete with somber expressions and impassioned commentary.
So what happened last night? Anybody do anything interesting? Okay. The 2024 presidential race ended yesterday, and this is what the country and the world woke up to this morning. Take a look.
Now, if you thought the drama with Sunny Hostin had cooled off, think again, because it's heating up again. During a recent episode of The View, Sunny found herself in the middle of yet another controversy, this time taking aim at Senator John Fetterman. Yup, you heard that right. The drama train on The View never seems to run out of fuel. If you've been keeping up with the show, you know it's famous for its fiery debates and unfiltered commentary. It's practically a playground for bold statements and polarizing opinions. But this time, Sunny might have bitten off more than she could chew, at least according to Senator Fetterman, who's clearly not letting her comments slide. So what did Sunny say to ignite this latest firestorm? Well, she didn't hold back when addressing Fetterman's highly controversial visit to Mar-a-Lago. That's right, the Democratic senator made waves by visiting Trump's Florida estate. And let's be honest, a Democrat stepping foot in Trump's territory is like walking into a lion's den wearing a steak suit. The visit alone had tongues wagging, but Sunny's sharp commentary turned the heat all the way up. She threw some serious shade, calling the move a betrayal of Democratic principles and questioning Fetterman's motives. For many, her words struck a chord, but not in a good way. Fetterman's camp wasn't exactly thrilled, and social media? Oh, it exploded with opinions. People were quick to pick sides, with some defending Sunny's right to call it as she sees it, while others accused her of being unnecessarily divisive.
Let me ask you this, though. Since Trump's win, there's been a lot of soul-searching on the Democratic side, people needing answers on what went wrong. Do you think that is helpful, and do you think there should also be some soul-searching on the Republican side who need to analyze why they would nominate a convicted felon who ran on lies, threats of retribution, and concepts of a plan?
Now, it turns out Sunny Hostin's life just got a whole lot more complicated these days. And for once, it's not about her sharp political commentary or any drama involving Melania Trump. This time, the headlines are all about her husband, Dr. Emmanuel "Manny" Hostin, who's now embroiled in a federal lawsuit that's causing major waves. Dr. Hostin, a well-known orthopedic surgeon who runs his own practice, Hostin Orthopedics and Sports Medicine in Manhattan, is being accused of insurance fraud in a case that's as serious as it sounds. According to court documents, the lawsuit filed back in December alleges that Dr. Hostin provided fraudulent medical services, including surgeries, and then billed insurance companies, particularly American Transit, under false pretenses. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. American Transit isn't just any insurance company. They're a major provider for drivers in services like Uber, Lyft, and taxis in New York. Fraudulent claims in this space are apparently a huge issue, so much so that insurance fraud has been called endemic in New York State. The lawsuit claims that cases like Dr. Hostin's exploit the state's no-fault insurance laws, which are designed to cover medical costs for accident victims regardless of who's at fault. What's Dr. Hostin accused of exactly? The allegations include improperly billing for medical services and receiving kickbacks disguised as legitimate payments, like dividends. According to the lawsuit, these fraudulent practices went on for years, and now American Transit is determined to hold him accountable. Now, this is definitely an ironic twist. After all the heat Sunny Hostin has thrown at people like Senator John Fetterman and Melania Trump, it almost feels like karma's coming back around. And speaking of Melania, she's probably laughing somewhere out there right now, considering how Sunny Hostin made a whole lot of assumptions about her and her husband, Donald Trump. If you think about it, it's kind of ironic. While Sunny and her own husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, seemed to be going through some turbulence of their own, it was her sharp commentary on Melania's relationship that really took center stage. The hosts of The View went all in. throwing out every assumption imaginable about Melania and Donald's marriage. They didn't just imply that she might not enjoy her marriage to Trump, they practically painted her as someone who was downright miserable. It was as if they were trying to reveal the truth behind the closed doors of the Trump household, but in a way that felt more like an attack than anything else. They painted Melania as a reluctant first lady, someone weighed down by the expectations of her role and unhappy with the spotlight she had been thrust into. It wasn't just about her marriage. They dragged everything into the conversation. They criticized her White House redesigns and even her Christmas traditions, turning her every decision into something to be questioned and scrutinized. The assumptions came fast and furious, leaving no room for nuance. It wasn't just harmless speculation. It was a full-blown critique of her life, from her personal choices to her marriage. And it's no wonder these comments hit a nerve with Melania. She wasn't just going to let it slide. In response, Melania filed a high-stakes defamation lawsuit, claiming the host's statements weren't just baseless. They were outright damaging to her reputation. For Melania, this wasn't just about a wounded pride or thin skin. It was about fighting back against what she saw as calculated and harmful attacks on her character. Now here's where things get even juicier. Enter Joe Rogan, the podcast titan and no-nonsense media critic. As expected, Rogan didn't hold back in calling out The View for what he labeled as blatant hypocrisy. He reminded everyone of a time not so long ago when both Donald and Melania Trump were warmly welcomed on the show. The host then greeted them with hugs, applause, and glowing smiles. Fast forward to today, and those same hosts are now the ones vilifying them. It didn't sit right with Rogan, and he wasn't about to let it go unnoticed. He accused The View of spinning a politically motivated narrative shift, claiming they had suddenly turned against the Trumps just to chase sensationalism rather than fostering genuine dialogue.
If you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sonny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and it's nothing
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there.
But Rogan wasn't done yet. He turned his criticism toward The View's broader focus, calling out the show's obsession with drama over substance. They're chasing ratings, not truth, he said, pulling no punches. His take only added another layer to this ever-evolving spectacle, giving his fans even more reason to rally behind his remarks. But let's take a step back and ask why this matters so much. Beyond the juicy drama and the back and forth between the media figures, this defamation lawsuit speaks to something much bigger: the fine line between freedom of speech and defamation when it comes to public figures. Yes, this case involves Melania Trump, but it's much more than just her personal battle. If she wins, the fallout could reshape the boundaries of what can and can't be said about celebrities, politicians, and their private lives. A ruling in Melania's favor could force shows like The View to seriously rethink their approach to controversial topics. Let that sink in for a moment. Sure, The View has faced its share of controversies before. It's practically their brand. But this one hits differently. We're talking about a former First Lady suing one of the most watched and influential talk shows in America. The stakes? Massive. And the implications go far beyond just the courtroom. Now let's address the elephant in the room: timing. As Melania drops this legal bombshell, Donald Trump is, of course, making headlines left and right. Is it just a coincidence? Some say no. Speculation is already swirling that this lawsuit could be part of a larger strategy to draw attention back to Melania, especially amid the current political storm. The Trumps, after all, have always been masters at commanding the spotlight. Whether it's through political drama or personal headlines, they know how to keep themselves in the public eye. But here's the thing: defamation lawsuits aren't a walk in the park. Melania's legal team has a big job ahead of them. They'll need to prove that the claims made about her, whether it's about her marriage or accusations of hating Christmas, are not just false, but also damaging. They have to show that these statements weren't just careless, but made with real ill intent. And let's be real, these kinds of comments could make the public think they're the gospel truth. Melania has always been pretty private about her personal life, so her lawyers will likely argue that these attacks on her character hurt more than just her feelings. They're about damaging her reputation and ruining her chances at future opportunities. This isn't just some petty spat. It's about long-lasting damage to how people see her. The stakes are high, and if she wins, it could change the way public figures like her are treated in the media. As for Sunny, this isn't the first time she's faced major backlash. Over the years, she's been at the center of heated debates, controversial statements, and viral moments that have sparked all kinds of reactions from the public. Whether it's her outspoken takes on The View or her personal revelations, she's no stranger to criticism, and she never shies away from it. One of the biggest controversies she's faced came from her appearance on Finding Your Roots, the PBS Genealogy series that uncovers deep family histories. When Sunny agreed to participate, she probably expected to learn more about her Puerto Rican heritage, maybe discover a few inspiring stories about her ancestors. But instead, the results left her shocked and had the internet buzzing. Sunny found that she was only 7% indigenous Puerto Rican, far less than she thought. But the real bombshell? Her fourth great-grandfather was a Spanish merchant, and evidence suggested he was involved in the slave trade. For someone who has been a strong advocate for racial justice and reparations, this revelation was a tough one to process. She admitted she was deeply disappointed and visibly struggled with the news.
And so the family business, I had been told that they were printers and journalists, but they were in fact enslavers. And my mother, so
a hush fell over the
it was
audience.
deeply disappointing.
And that's when the hate messages started pouring in. People flooded her social media with harsh comments, some even calling her a white girl and claiming she had no right to advocate for reparations. The backlash was intense, but Sunny didn't back down. Instead of letting the criticism shake her, she addressed it head-on during The View. Looking straight into the camera, she told viewers to stop sending her nasty messages and made it clear that her beliefs hadn't changed. "I still believe in reparations," she said firmly, proving she wasn't about to let internet trolls silence her. But just when things started to settle down, Sunny found herself in hot water again, this time over a legal disclaimer she had to read on air. The controversy sparked after she discussed serious allegations against Matt Gaetz, who had just been nominated by President-elect Donald Trump to be Attorney General. The accusations were explosive, including claims that Gaetz had been involved in child and had an inappropriate relationship with a 17-year-old girl. During the show, Sunny expressed her disbelief at Gaetz's nomination, saying,
How could you nominate someone with allegations of across state lines and having the 17-year-old? My understanding further on in the interview, they discussed the fact that once he finds out that she's 17, he stops having her. Well, statutory doesn't require you to know what age the person is. It only requires the age. And so.
But here's where things got awkward. After passionately criticizing Gaetz, Sunny was forced to read a legal disclaimer stating that he had denied all allegations and that no formal charges had been filed against him. The moment felt uncomfortable, almost as if the show's producers were stepping in to remind everyone to tread carefully when discussing legal matters. Of course, social media was quick to react. Some viewers praised Sunny for speaking her mind, while others criticized her for discussing allegations that hadn't led to criminal charges. Meanwhile, conservative supporters of Gaetz slammed The View for what they saw as biased reporting, while Sunny's fans defended her, saying she was simply voicing concerns that many Americans shared. If you thought Sunny Hostin was done stirring up controversy, think again. She found herself in yet another heated moment, and this time, it was right in the middle of The View, live on air no less. What started as a panel discussion quickly turned into an explosive showdown between Sunny and her co-host, Alyssa Griffin. It all went down on the June 7th episode, and let's just say the tension was palpable. The ladies were deep in a political debate, something that's always bound to get intense, but this time, things took a dramatic turn when the topic of the 2024 presidential race came up. With names like Mike Pence and Chris Christie entering the race, the conversation got heated, especially between Alyssa, one of the few Republicans on the panel, and the rest of the hosts. Sunny wasted no time calling out Alyssa for what she saw as a major flip-flop. She pointed out that Alyssa had previously criticized Pence, yet now she was defending him. That's when the sparks really started flying. The tension between the two grew so thick that the conversation quickly spiraled into a full-on shouting match. Alyssa was caught off guard, asking for a chance to speak, but Sunny just kept firing off her points, leaving Alyssa visibly frustrated.
You are incapable of defending a man that you worked for. I don't need to hear more from Pence for several reasons. When I lived in Indiana and I went to Notre Dame, he had a terrible approval rating because of the way he treated the AIDS crisis. A lot of people died because of him. A lot of people died because of how he handled the COVID crisis.
Well, are you going to give me a chance to answer?
The truth.
This is not what the show is about.
I
want to answer my question.
You know what? I kind of feel like I need to go to break right now.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. Some people were accusing Sunny of acting like a narcissist, arguing that she only listened to her own opinion because she's a lawyer and thought her perspective was the only valid one. And while many might agree that she was firmly in the wrong during this argument, it's hard to ignore that she didn't really give Alyssa a chance to speak or share her thoughts. It wasn't just about political disagreements. It seemed like Sunny wasn't listening to Alyssa's side at all. Some fans even went as far as to say that Sunny's attitude bordered on bullying. They felt that she dominated the conversation, cutting Alyssa off and making it nearly impossible for her to get a word in. It was uncomfortable to watch, especially since it felt less like a debate and more like a one-sided attack. What's your take on this? Do you think Sunny was just being a narcissist, or do you agree with her comments about Melania and Trump? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. While we wait for more updates, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos for more content like this.